Guys, we are down to our last two sections. This whole chapter is called Sequences and Series. We've done sequences, we've done series. Now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on more specific sequences and series. So first we're going to do arithmetic sequences and series, and then geometric sequences and series. So really, I'm not going to teach you anything that I haven't already taught you. I've taught you everything you need. We're just going to make it a little more special and talk about specific equations and formulas that will help us make that a little bit easier. So that's what our goal is today. That's what we're going to try to get done with. Both sections here are a little bit longer, so we are going to split them up into two different sections. That way we don't get overwhelmed. But that's our goal. That's where we're headed. So let's do it. So arithmetic sequence formula. If you want to know the nth term, where n can represent whatever term you want, the 8th term, the 12th term, whatever, of an arithmetic sequence, then we can use this formula right here. Here's what the formula says. A sub n, which stands for any term, the nth term of the sequence. A sub 1 is the first term. N represents the number of the term. So like if I want to find the 12th term of the sequence, then n is going to be 12. And D represents the difference, because this only works for an arithmetic sequence, and arithmetic means you have a difference because you're adding or subtracting each time. So let's apply this formula. We want to find the 12th term, because n is equal to 12, of this arithmetic sequence. So we are finding a sub 12. A sub 1 is going to represent our starting number, which is 5, plus n minus 1, 12 minus 1, times my difference, so times 3. And then we're just going to solve. 5 plus 11 times 3, 5 plus 33 is 38. Or in other words, the 12th term of this sequence is 38. That's way easier than the other way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I could also do it this way, where I started off with 5 and my difference is 3. So I add 3 to get 8 and add 3 to get 11 and then 14 and then 17 and then 20 and then 23 and then 26, 29, 32, 35, 38. Hey, look, that's the 12th number. It's 38. You could do it that way, but it's a lot easier to use this formula, and it's going to work every time here, as long as it's arithmetic. All right, let's go to part B. A sub n, we're trying to find the 10th term. So we're finding a sub 10. A sub 1, which stands for the first number, so it's going to be 1, plus n minus 1, while I'm looking for the 10th term, so it's 10 minus 1, times my d. And my d in this case, it goes from 1, negative 2, negative 5. My d is negative 3, because I'm subtracting 3 each time. So 1 plus 9 times negative 3. So 1 minus 27. I get negative 26. That is the 10th term of this sequence. We could do it that way, or we could write it out if we want to get crazy. All right, let's look at the next one. So I'm just going to write out that formula again so you see it. All right, so this is my formula. I want to find the 22nd term. And this one's easy. A sub 1, oh, that's 32, plus n, which is 22, minus 1, times my d. 32 plus 21 times negative 6. And we're just going to plug that into my calculator because I don't want to do it in my brain. 32 plus 21, parentheses, negative 6, boom. Negative 94 would be the 22nd term. And it should make sense that it's negative because I'm subtracting 6 each time. It's going to keep going down and down and down. And I'm doing 22 terms, so I'm skipping quite far ahead. A sub 21. So again, nothing different. A sub 21, a sub 1 plus the 21 terms minus 1 times d. Negative 205. Just plug it into the formula. Plug it in, plug it in, plug it in. You should be good. We could get different. Let's do one of these. Let's do this one right here. So we're going to find a sub 33. A sub 33 of this sequence right here. And again, here's my formula if you haven't memorized it yet. A sub 33, that's what I'm looking for. A sub 1, that's the first term. Plus n minus 1, so 33 minus 1, times my d. My d, what's happening each time? What's the difference? Well, I'm subtracting 20 each time, so I'm going to multiply by negative 20. Make sure you're multiplying there and not subtracting 20. You're multiplying by your d, so it's times. So I'm just going to type that into my calculator. Negative 17 plus 32 times negative 20. I get negative 657. That is what the 33rd term is. And it makes sense that it ends in 7 because all of these end in 7. It makes sense that it's really negative because I subtracted 20 each time. That's it. All right, on the next section, we are going, my page kind of screwed up here, but we're writing the equation for the nth term. All right, so basically what we're doing is we're going to do what we did in our first section here, where we're going to write an equation that's going to tell me the answer to this problem no matter what. I'm writing an equation for the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, and they went ahead and gave me the formula here. So to do this, a sub n is equal to a sub 1, I'm going to plug in negative 9, plus n minus 1 times my d, and my d is going to be negative 10. Okay, so I'm going to put that in parentheses so it doesn't look like it's minus. That's my formula. All right, I'm going to simplify that a little bit, but if I'm finding the nth term, it means a mystery number, which basically just means I'm going to leave n in the problem. I'm not going to solve for n. I'm just going to leave it in. I'm going to distribute this negative 10. So it's going to be negative 10n plus 10. And then I'm going to combine these two together. So a sub n equals negative 10n plus 1. This is my nth term equation. All right, and what that is it's a formula that I can plug in any number really quick for, and I can find the term. All right, so let's just test it out. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 5 terms. The first term is negative 9, and my difference is negative 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 each time. So like negative 19, negative 29, negative 39, negative 49, and so on. So if I want to test this equation, let's say we found a sub 5. What's the fifth number in this sequence? Well, I would go negative 10 times 5 plus 1. Well, negative 10 plus 5 would be negative 50. Plus 1 would be negative 49, which is the fourth term in this sequence. My pattern is correct. My equation is correct. So the key to this is just simply plugging into our equation and leaving n. Let's do it again. All right. So a sub n is equal to a sub 1. Well, my a sub 1 is 3 plus n. I'm going to leave that n alone because I don't know what term I'm looking for. I'm looking for the nth term. And the d is negative 200. Distribute this negative 200 in to the problem. So I'm going to get 3 plus negative 200. So really it's 3 minus 200n plus 200. So a sub n is going to be equal to negative 200n, and then 3 plus 200 is 203. Let's keep moving right along. So 13, 10, 7, 4. Again, I'm just going to write this formula right here so you can see it. I'm finding the nth term of the equation, so I'm going to go a sub n equals a sub 1, well, that's the first term, plus n minus 1. I'm finding the nth term, so I'm leaving n in the problem. And then I got to figure out what my d is. And here I'm going 13, 10, 7, 4. I'm subtracting 3, so my d is going to be negative 3. To write the rule for the equation, we're just going to leave everything in. We're going to multiply by negative 3, so negative 3n plus 3. So a sub n is going to be equal to negative 3n plus 16. This equation right here is going to help me to find any term. So now if I ask you to find the 27th term, you would just plug 27 in for n and solve. I think we're getting the same thing here. I'm not too worried about that. Let's go to these two because they're a little bit different. All right, so again, here's my formula. I love writing this formula. It's so fun. And all right, here we go. There's my formula. A sub 4 is 3, so we're finding a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Well, I know what my d is. My d is going to be 10. What I don't know is what my first term is going to be. And there's a couple different ways we could do this. All right, we could do some different things here to solve it. One way to do it is just by thinking it through. Okay, if I'm writing the nth term of the equation, I need to know what a sub 1 is. So what I could do here is say, hey, the fourth term is 3. You got to be careful here. My difference is 10, so I always go this way first. What would the fifth number? If my fourth number is 3 and my difference is 10, my fifth number would be 13. I'm adding 10 if I go to the right. If I go backwards, I'm subtracting 10. So 3 minus 10 would get me negative 7, negative 17, negative 27. Boom, that's what number goes right there. We can distribute that 10. And then combine like terms. A sub n is going to be equal to 10n minus 37. We could do it that way. There's another way. I almost don't want to even bring it up just because it's going to be a little bit more annoying. I would not do it this way if you weren't very confident. But the other thing you could do is plug in a sub 4. So a sub 4 is going to be equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1, where my n is going to be 4 minus 1. My difference is going to be 10. And instead of putting a sub 4, what is a sub 4 equal to? A sub 4 is equal to 3. And so I plugged in 4 and 3, and I'm using that to solve for a sub 1. I don't really think this is the easiest way of doing this, but we could. 3 times 10 would be 30, so I would subtract 30 from both sides. So what we found was a sub 1 is negative 27. The way easier way of doing that is just using the pattern here. And we could do it because they only told me the fifth term. Like if they told me what the 37th term is, maybe I'd have to do it a little bit different. But once I found this, then I would still plug in and go that way. A little bit easier just to count it out, but both ways work. One more here. A sub 5 is 20. D is negative 4. So again, I'm plugging into this formula. I want to know a sub n is equal to, I need to plug in a sub 1. N minus 1 is going to stay there. I'm going to plug in my D, and my D here is negative 4. I need to know what a sub 1 is. So you could do it a lot of different ways. This is my favorite. The fifth term in my pattern is 20. My D is negative 4. So if my D is negative 4, my next number would be 16 because I would subtract 4. So if I'm going this way, I'm really going to add 4. This is going to be 24. This would be 28. This would be 32. A sub 1 would be 36. Then I can solve from there. So 36 minus 4n plus 4. A sub n is equal to negative 4n plus 40. That is writing the nth term of the sequence. Again, it's handy because I can then use that to find all of my terms. Hope that helps. Check in for the second video for the second half of this lesson.